Peace be to you, dear friends. If you happen to meet an ordinary Jew who lived at the time of Jesus and ask a question, what are the pillars of your religion? You are quite sure to get this reply: almsgiving, prayer, and fasting. In the 6th chapter of Matthew, Jesus is going to tell us about the right way of almsgiving, right way of praying, and right way of fasting. To understand the foundation of this, let us go back to the programmatic passage in chapter 5, verse 30. Verse 20. Unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. The Greek word used in verse 20, dikaiosune, is translated as righteousness. And the same Greek word used in chapter 6, verse 1, dikaiosune, but translated as piety. Yesterday, we spoke about the ethical standards of a Christian disciple. And today, Jesus will tell us how a Christian disciple should practice one's religion. And this section starts with a statement: whenever you give alms, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues. 3 times in this text you find reference to hypocrites. Who are the hypocrites? It's a Greek term which means actors on the stage who put on masks and act. So Jesus makes a distinction between the scribes and Pharisees who show up their religious practices in order to make other people praise them. And that itself is a reward. But a Christian disciple does all these practices in secret. And the Father who sees in secret will reward them. The first practice is about almsgiving, which in Judaism is one of the most important aspects of piety. And every Jew was asked to exercise this practice of the piety. So Christian disciple does that in secret. And second one is the prayer. And Matthew is addressing his community, which is made up of a majority Jewish Christians who had the regular rhythm of prayer in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. So he did not have to tell them the importance of prayer, but they should know how they should pray. So when you are praying, verse 7, do not babble empty phrases as the Gentiles do. He wants to tell his disciples that prayer is communication with God, and shut out all other concerns. That's why he says, close the door and pray to the Father in secret. The community to which he addressed knew the rhythm of prayer, but he teaches them how they should pray. And in the center of the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew places the beautiful Our Father. And this is the heart of the Sermon on the Mount. Even the location is significant. In the Sermon on the Mount, where the prayer Our Father appears, 54 verses precede the prayer Our Father, and 48 verses follow the rest of the Sermon on the Mount. While in this section, Sermon on the Mount, Jesus uses some 14 times my Father. When he teaches the prayer, he says, Our Father. It's a communitarian prayer. And God is addressed as Abba, a familiar term, a very close relationship that expresses Abba. And there, the first part is all about God, God's honor, God's kingdom, and His purpose. And then in the second part comes our own needs, food, forgiveness, and liberation from evil. But there is just one clause with regard to forgiveness. Verse 12. Forgive as we also have forgiven. So, my forgiveness precedes before I ask the Father to forgive me. And in verse 14 and 15 will act as a commentary of verse 12. If you forgive others, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. And third is the fast. Again here, the fasting is not to call attention of other people who are watching us. In fact, a Jew is expected to fast only once a year on the day of Yom Kippur. But there are Pharisees and other religious leaders fast several times. But Jesus says, it should not be done for ostentatious purposes, because adulation is its own reward and no other benefit will accrue from the Father. And the last part of this chapter, verse 19 to 34, is all about the true priorities. He makes a contrast between treasure in heaven, treasure on earth, God and mammon, cares and anxieties of material goods, and seeking for God's kingdom. So the Christian disciple is asked to choose between fragile earthly treasures and indestructible treasure in heaven. And in the last part of this session, from verse 25, we will see this passage is very, very pertinent for us at this time when the whole world is reeling under the pandemic of COVID, where there is a lot of fear and anxiety and uncertainty about future, where God tells us, Jesus tells us, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you drink or what you wear. Look at the nature. God feeds the birds of the air and He clothes the field with beautiful flowers. Yes, they will survive. They will get sick and they will die. But it's all part of the process, and God takes care of us. And there are some 56 times that Jesus uses the word Father. And it's all about the centrality of the Father. Father takes care of us. And the whole piety is like a heartbeat that goes on and on without we knowing about it. So piety should be something that is interior, something that should be part of our existence. And till the next class, Shalom.